Shouldn't we be writing this down like we agreed to write about our feelings? We also agreed that productivity would add to the stress that Miss Introvert is already under. I'm sorry, I'm just really upset right now. I don't know if I want to date them anymore. Why not? They want to travel somewhere, and I want to stay home. Being busy and having fun in your 20s can be done well. Egypt would be a perfect example. It would take you way out of your comfort zone. You would get your inspiration, I would get my facts, and you would exist.
Wow, that was a lot. 1 month of Egypt, and I'm dead tired. I don't even remember how to procrastinate.
You don't even have to do anything. We're exhausted, right, editor? Quite. If there's nothing to write about, there's nothing to edit, which means I can get some shut-eye. Although I do want to just doodle with a couple of the hieroglyphs we learned in Egypt. In the barest minimum of hieroglyphs that we learned, what could you possibly write about? I don't know, maybe I should take your advice and write about how I'm feeling. Although Miss Introvert did do that in a way. She wrote a lot of entries about every day she was in Egypt. Of course, she didn't write a spell on how to free her soul from her sarcophagus, but maybe we could do that for her.
Can we just focus on the present and stop thinking about that?
Well, eventually we should reflect on everything we went through. Egypt related and otherwise, but not right now. Right now isn't a good time. Remembering is good, but let's just focus on the present, as you said. Maybe we can be the next author to write an Egyptian-inspired novel. But eventually, I need to gather my thoughts before I reflect on them. Something big just happened in our reality. I feel like we should reflect on that first.
Oh, but that will take ages.
We can just reflect on what we know, eventually. It's not going to be as painful. It will be less painful later on if we discuss it now.
Miss Introvert is napping. Shouldn't we leave her alone?
Procrastination. You can't hide anything from us. We know that Miss Introvert does not know how to nap. She's doom scrolling. We can hear the TikTok audios from here. Oh dear lord, someone spam. Oh no, it's worse than I thought. Maybe she really isn't ready to talk yet.
Can't we just talk amongst ourselves and have something prepared for when she's ready?
I've never known you to be prepared. Must be a new word of the day for you.
Seriously, though, we need to think about how we're going to approach her. I agree with you. She should eventually write these things down, but she will be more or less inclined to write sans the significant other.
I'm already bursting with fuel for her writing time, but we do need to make sure that she's actually motivated. Motivation. And that's a fun word that we can just throw around whenever we please. It's true that someone may read her work one day and feel less alone or cathartic upon reading something that relates to their current mood, but what if that never happens? What if we never write like that again? We need to get something out of her right now. Well, then maybe she should start talking to someone else. And not us. Sometimes what we talk about just goes around in a loop and we never get anything new. You mean get another significant other? Just move on? No. Find someone she trusts to talk about how she feels. She might not be ready to talk about it with people yet. Maybe she doesn't want to talk about it yet, and maybe You also don't want her to talk to other people about it. Why would I not want that? So that she can write her own twisted version of poetry. But if she's going to publish it, she's gonna have to show it to someone else sooner or later. I care about Miss Introvert. I just think she needs time before she talks.
Guys, she's taking out her notes app.
What? What is she writing? That is a lot of typos and a lot of angsty phrases. Good heavens.
Maybe you're right, editor. This isn't her normal content.
She needs to talk to us about it first.
Before we get her down here, we're all in agreement that we want Miss Introvert to talk to someone. We don't want her to get locked up in her own thoughts again, right?
If all goes well, yes. And how do you want it to go, Inspiration? Why are you assuming that I have ulterior motives? I want the best for Miss Introvert, just like the rest of you. Now bring her down here. I said, bring her down here. We don't want to pressure her now. I have ideas. Miss Introvert, write these down. Get off of Instagram and get on Notes app if you know what's good for you. There's a little house on a quaint and slightly forested subdivision. There's a little girl who sees a sweet but sad-looking German Shepherd sitting all alone on the side of the road. She goes out and sits by it. You know what? Let's actually change this to the parent's POV. So we see the mother. She's getting out of bed. She looks out the window and she sees her daughter sitting by a German Shepherd on the side of the road. She's like, what's going on? She wakes up her husband. He groggily wakes up and he tells her what's going on. He's a little bit still in dreamland because he's sleeping. And then she grabs her robe and slippers. Maybe change some of the character profiles around a little bit. This is starting to sound very familiar. These people are going to know who they are.
Here's an idea that I'm just throwing out there, and I've thrown it out before. I don't know if you remember, but why don't we just leave Miss Introvert alone?
Alone? Without my advice? Procrastination. We're her brain. Right? Editor? I actually agree with procrastination on this one. Last time we offered our input, things escalated and then de-escalated. And we only actually got around to writing what we wanted to write because we got out of Miss Introvert's way. She was able to gather her ideas, you were able to use them in the story, I was able to edit them, and we were able to say yes to the Egypt trip because we followed procrastination's advice and left her alone. When are we ever going to learn our lesson? What lesson? This is a different circumstance. You should know better than anyone that Miss Introvert is going to go through character changes. Let's say she's a character in her story. She's going to have to go through different changes, and those reactions are going to show how her character arc is going to turn out. Well, I want her character arc to turn out with a sense of fulfillment and a story idea that's actually going to get her a best-selling book deal. Is that not what you want as well, editor? Of course, it's what we've all wanted this whole time.
I feel like it's been neutral for
But
me.
it takes time to get to that stage, and maybe Miss Introvert needs to react with some rest this time, instead of going right into the next scene. This isn't a fast-paced YA thriller novel. This is real life. We don't have the energy of a protagonist. We have the energy of a human, unfortunately. But we have to use what we've got, and that's just the way it is. We have to treat some of those moments with care. Like the moments in Studio Ghibli movies, those quiet moments. Are we all in agreement? I know I am.
You both know I'm all for Miss Introvert resting and taking the time she needs.
Good. You two can have the vote. I'm out. What do you mean you're out? I'm leaving the writing mind until you two can think about something that'll determine our next action. We can't just sit here and wait for us to get better. I won't act against your will, but I don't like this system we've created. Isn't there anyone else in the writing mind who wants what's best for Miss Introvert? Wait, Inspiration, where are you going? I think you know.
I don't. I never go anywhere.
You see, that's what we used to say before we went somewhere. And you all act like we have nothing to report back about, nothing worth writing about. What was it you were saying about seeing an ancient wonder of the world and looking upon it with our own eyeballs? Was that really what you wanted, editor? Just to see the sarcophagi and art and writing of ages ago and leave it to the recesses of our visual library? Or were you going to do something about it? I'm sorry, but if Miss Introvert needs a break, then... And if Miss Introvert did go through all of those toxic moments and dull moments that no one prepared her for in a relationship, then what was the point of all of it if not to turn it into poetry? If not to turn it into something that will validate our experience and make it into something good? What good are our words if not to put them into songs and our memories into cinema? What good am I if not to be a vessel of the imagination? I am the most important part of our existence, and you never take me seriously. You never treat me with the respect I deserve. You're all just second to the process. I am the process. I'm the reason the process happens. I am inspiration, and I am unwanted.
I don't think she was being dramatic that time.
Duly noted. That
Oh my gosh.
was beautifully tragic inspiration. I'm so sorry I ignored you. Of course you should be. I wish I could hug you, but I don't have a body double, and I don't know how to edit that. That's okay. We can air hug. Okay, now I know that you all have been waiting for me, and I'm here. What do we have to regurgitate onto paper about our trip? Everything. Not just the trip, but the breakup too. Write about the breakup. Really? That much? I also have several works in progress going. Can't we just take something interesting that we learned from Egypt and add it to the story or to the lore? And then we can do some further research? I'm in the mood for research. Let's do that first.
I second that, even though I hate that.
I think we should. The eyes have it. Let's spend the next several hours just relaxing and opening up some educational YouTube videos and at the same time processing whatever happened on our trip. But nothing. Miss Introvert, go back to bed and get cozy.
So cozy.
And start making a playlist of videos you want to watch. And procrastination, you go too.
As long as it's cozy.
Do you realize where we almost went? We don't need imposter syndrome on top of a depressive episode. Oh, editor, I would never go that far. You saw her reaction. She was so ready to write. Until you went and ruined it with your research suggestion. You do know that you almost ruined everything, right? You may be the source of why we exist, but you're also the reason we have imposter syndrome. Please, don't ever go that way again. Do you understand? I'll go whichever way I want to go. I don't care what we agreed to in the past. I should be in charge. Then I will tell Miss Introvert the secrets that lie in there. Everything you've ever sabotaged against Miss Introvert's will. Every opportunity that she could have taken that you squandered. And every moment you turned into a poorly written poem, I'll tell her all of it. You wouldn't dare. I would dare, because I know you, Inspiration. You will do whatever it takes to keep Miss Introvert writing about what you want. Miss Introvert is the writer, or the character you were metaphorically monologuing about before. It should matter what she wants. I thought you knew that. And I thought you knew how to keep this place organized. Maybe it's time to tidy up. Perhaps after your research session? Perhaps. I do wish we had body doubles. This would be so much more dramatic.
Hey guys, are we a go or what?
We're a go. Inspiration, remember what I said. Oh, I will. I have a proposition for you.